Hello everyone and welcome back to DC Central, and in today's video we're going to be breaking down and discussing all of the news that came from DC FanDome Enter the Multiverse, which was the second part of DC FanDome, purely focused on the DCTV stuff, so let's discuss. So DC FanDome did return yesterday, and obviously I did a video, my last video was on the first version of DC FanDome, which was a lot more focused on the movie and the cinematic side of the DC universe, but we did have this second DC FanDome event, which was a lot more focused on the TV stuff, and this was an interesting way of doing it, because unlike the first DC FanDome, which was basically a big live stream, this was actually all on demand, so you could basically pick and choose whatever you wanted to watch, put it in a little calendar, and then just go through it as and when you pleased, and it's actually still available right now as of this video going up, so if you still want to go check it out and check out some of the panels and stuff like that, you can still do that. It's available till 6 PM BST, of course you can get that to your own personal regions, but yeah, it's still going as of right now, so you can go check that out. And just to address something quickly at the top, obviously I did say in my last video that I would be doing a video, like a separate video on the Flash panel that was there, and I did have a video to do that. However, I then recently discovered that there was going to be the second DC FanDome where the Flash would have an extended panel, so I wanted to wait until then, so I'm going to be discussing the Flash in this video. So anyway, with all that said, let's just go through all four of the major panels that I watched, which is the Flash, Superman and Lois, Batwoman and Legends of Tomorrow, so let's kick it off with the Flash. So as I said, the Flash did actually have a panel in the first DC FanDome, but this was actually the same panel, but it was an extended version, and it's kind of interesting because this extended version had a lot more to it than the first initial one did that we got originally. So anyway, first of all, we did actually get a trailer. This is the only DC TV show that got a trailer, and that's because the Flash is the only DC TV show that actually had footage to use, because as we all know, obviously they basically pretty much finished filming episode 20 of season 6, but they decided to use episode 19 as the finale because it served as a better finale overall. So we did actually get a trailer for episode 20 of season 6, which is now being transferred into episode 1 of season 7. And this trailer was interesting. It wasn't exactly surprising though, because obviously we do kind of know where this was going. It's just a lot of drama between Barry and Eva, and also with Iris still being stuck in the Mirrorverse. So we did see this like other version of Iris show up, who seems to be like a fragment of Iris's imagination, or at least a fragment of her past. We got to see her sort of wearing outfits that we've seen from past seasons and stuff like that. So that's pretty interesting. And Eric Wallace, who's the showrunner of The Flash, he was talking about that this trailer is to be interpreted in a different way, and that there's actually kind of spoilers all over the place with this trailer. So what that means, we're not quite sure, but we did get that trailer, and it was a pretty cool trailer nonetheless, so I'm very excited. And obviously Season 7 should be an interesting one for The Flash, given the fact that it is going to have to spend the first couple of episodes sort of wrapping up everything from Season 6, given the pandemic and everything, so it should be a pretty interesting season. There was a few other things spoken about though. They were talking about Harrison Wells and how his character is going to change, because obviously post-Crisis now there's only one Wells, which is Nash Wells, the one we've had from season 6, and they were saying that the way Wells will change is quite radical, but also quite awesome. So he's going to change radically. Obviously this is going to be a different change because we're used to getting a new Wells every season pretty much, but this is going to be different. We're going to have a different I don't really know what they're doing with it. They just said that Wells will change radically, but in an awesome way. So who knows what they're going to do with Wells. You know, I feel like they are going to find a new way for Tom Cavanaugh to, you know, play a different character every season in some way, shape or form. So it's going to change, but it still should be pretty great. Now, interestingly, this was cut from the panel, from the first panel, but I thought it was really interesting. Eric Wallace practically confirmed that Godspeed is going to be the villain for Season 7. Now, he didn't say that outright, but he did say that Godspeed is going to be in Season 7, and will at least be a major part in it. And I imagine what that means is that Godspeed is going to be the villain for at least half of the season. Obviously, Eric Wallace in Season 6 did this unique thing that has not been done before on The Flash, which is he split the season down the middle with two different storylines on either side. And I have a feeling that because of how successful that was and how well fans took to that, I think he's going to do that again in Season 7. And I think Godspeed is going to be a villain for one of those halves. And of course, in Season 6, they did set up a lot of stuff with Godspeed, with the clones and stuff like that. And that Godspeed suit is amazing, so they need to use that more often. So I think that Godspeed being a villain is really great, and I also like what he said about it. You know, he said that, you know, I really want to help, you know, and get younger fans into the show. You know, people who perhaps read the comics now, younger people who, you know, whose villain that they love is Godspeed, so to bring him into the show. So I think that was a nice way of putting it. So we basically have Godspeed confirmed as a villain in some capacity for Season 7. He was also talking about Joe and how his story is going to change, given, current events with the Black Lives Matter movement, and also, given the fact that Joe and Barry work for the police department in Central City. He was talking about how their stories are going to change. He didn't go into too much detail about that, but he was basically saying that there are going to be some changes in regards to how they're going to tell those stories, so that's good to know. And also, they did confirm that the gold boots for the Flash suit are coming. This is obviously a thing that Grant Gustin has wanted for such a long time, and they've been talking about it, and basically they're saying that yes, the gold boots are coming at some point. He didn't say when, so this might not necessarily mean Season 7, this could be Season 8, Season 9, but he did say that the gold boots will come at some point, but he feels like they have to be earned, and he said specifically that a storyline should earn them. So it seems like we are actually going to get some form of a storyline that will lead to Barry getting the gold boots. I mean, if I was going to say anything, I would actually think that the gold boots will come in Season 7. I actually think they are going to come in Season 7. They might come towards the end of Season 7, going into Season 8, who knows, but I do believe that we will see the gold boots in Season 7, so that's very exciting to know. So that's basically everything of the Flash panel. Now we have the panel for Superman and Lois, and this was an interesting panel because obviously this is the brand new show coming to the Arrowverse this year. Or next year, I should say. And obviously, Superman and Lois is a show I've been kind of mixed on because I didn't really love the idea of a Superman show coming into the Arrowverse just because we already have Supergirl. However, I am still excited to see the show. But there were a couple of talking points. For one, they basically said that the reason why Superman and Lois actually moved to Smallville is for a specific reason, and it's due to a pretty tragic event. So something's going to happen in Metropolis that causes Superman and Lois to actually move back to Metropolis. So that was or to move back to Smallville. So that was kind of interesting. They also said that General Lane, who is of course Lois Lane's father, is going to have an interesting relationship with Clark and with Superman, given the fact that he's a military guy. He kind of sees Superman as almost like his weapon, and I think that's going to provide some pretty interesting storylines. I always find it interesting in a superhero storyline where they talk about superheroes being used as like military weapons. I always find that pretty interesting and engaging story. So to bring that into Superman and Lois, I think that's pretty cool. And also, I believe General Lane is being played by something Morshower. He's basically an actor from the Transformers movies. He plays like the lead military guy in the Transformers movies. Glenn Morshower, I think his name is. I think he's playing General Lane, so that's pretty cool. And they did actually confirm that Superman is going to get a new suit for the season, so that's really nice. Obviously, Superman has pretty much had the same suit since we first met him in Supergirl Season 2, but he is getting a brand new suit for the season, so that's nice to know. Apparently, it's a badass suit, so that's really, really cool. Then we've got the panel for Batwoman Season 2. Again, not huge amounts of stuff to talk about here. We did actually get a big amount of time with Javicia Leslie, who of course is the new lead of the series. She's going to be playing Ryan Wilder, and Javicia seems great. She seems so passionate about the show. She seems very likable, and I really enjoy her energy. So I think she's going to be a really good lead actress for this show. And even though it's sad what happened, with Ruby, the fact that she's gone, I think that it is, on the other hand, to put a positive spin on it, I think it is going to create a new, fresh identity for the show, if you will. I think it's going to keep things pretty interesting. So to bring in just a brand new lead, like it is a bit weird, like to do that, in Season 2. However, I still think it's pretty interesting. But they did sort of talk about something they've spoken about before, which is that one of the major storylines going into Season 2 is what happened to Kate. Like there's going to be like a mystery around it, which I think is a good way of handling it, rather than just sending her off somewhere or killing her off screen. There's going to be like a mystery of like something that happened to her, so I think that's pretty interesting. And also that leaves the door open then for Ruby to come back at some point. Maybe she will never come back full time as a series regular, but it'll be a cool way to bring her back at some point once they solve that mystery. So I think it's cool that they are sort of leaving the door open for Ruby to come back into the show at some point. And I think, again, having like a mystery surrounding what happened to her, I think is a nice way of doing it. And they also spoke about how each character on the show is going to sort of react differently to Ryan, which I thought was good because one of my big concerns going into Season 2, obviously despite the fact that I've been more positive than most people about the sort of acting change, one of my main sort of worries about it was that each of the major characters on Batwoman is basically family to Kate. So, bringing in a new Batwoman who isn't Kate Kane and then still keeping the rest of the supporting cast seems a bit weird. But they were basically discussing how each character was going to react differently to Ryan and stuff like that, and how their story is going to intersect. So I thought that was quite cool. It made me feel a bit more, at ease about that side of it. And I really like the Batwoman cast. I really do. I think they're a really likable group, and I think that they are all super excited to just carry on with this show. And I think they're all very thankful that we have actually got another lead actress to keep the show going, because they all seem very, very excited about it. So the Batwoman panel was cool. Again, not much to talk about, but it does get me excited for Season 2 and a lot more excited about, the future of the show as a whole. And then finally, the final panel I watched was the Legends of Tomorrow Season 6 panel, and this one was okay. I mean, we had the blooper reel at the beginning, which was pretty good, but other than that, we got some new details. They were talking about how everyone is kind of going crazy without Sarah. Obviously, at the end of Season 5, we saw Sarah get abducted by aliens, and we do know that aliens is going to be like the main threat in Season 6. So everyone's kind of going crazy, you know, without Mum at home, basically. So I thought that was pretty interesting, because Sarah is kind of the straight-edge leader of the team now, and we do have her gone, so it does seem like the team has kind of gone into a bit of a mess since she has left the team. So I thought that was pretty interesting, at least. They also talk about how we're going to explore the childhoods of Behrad and Zari, which I think is really good because those two characters are really interesting to me, and I think to see their, you know, childhood explored and how they grew up together, especially with Behrad, because obviously he kind of showed up in Season 5, and he was kind of this character who, for the audience, he was like a new character, but for the Legends, he was kind of this character who had supposedly been around for years, obviously due to the storyline there, so I think it's going to be interesting to explore that dynamic and explore that childhood. I think it's going to be really good. And they also confirmed a brand new legend is joining the team. We are getting a new character this season who's going to be joining the Wave Rider, and she is going to be played by British actress Shivani Guy, who you may know from the series Dominion, and she is going to be a series regular on Legends of Tomorrow this season, which I think is really, really cool. Because obviously we always get new characters each season, so it's nice to see another new one come into it. And I'm just getting up the article now so I can just get the character's name. I believe her name is Spooner? Yes, Spooner Cruz is joining the team, and she's basically like an alien expert, so she's going to be helping the team with this alien threat that they're going to be dealing with in Season 6. And also it seems like she has a sort of mysterious past to do with the aliens, perhaps some kind of like traumatic event with the aliens in the past. I mean, I think the idea of them doing aliens in Season 6 is pretty wild, and I really don't put anything past Legend at this point. But to bring in a new character like this, I think is cool, especially because she's going to have a tie to those aliens, and we can sort of explore that storyline a bit more, so that's really cool. But that was basically everything from the Legends panel. Again, Legends is something that I don't really get excited about anymore, not in a bad way, it's just that, you know, for me, Legends is something where it's almost like a comedy show now, where every week I'm just like, oh yeah, I'll watch this and enjoy it, but it's not something I majorly think about or, you know, do predictions for like I do with, you know, The Flash, or like I did with Arrow when it was still on. So you know, there's that. So I'm excited about Legends Season 6. You know, Season 5 was a big improvement from Season 4 for me, so hopefully they continue that in Season 6. And just as a little note to finish off on, I was really hoping, you know, that I felt like this is the last-ditch effort for us to get an announcement regarding Green Arrow and the Canaries, which is, of course, the Arrow spin-off. That was not announced here. Now, DC have kind of been slowly revealing information throughout DC FanDome that haven't been at the panels and stuff like that, and we still have until 6 PM today before DC FanDome wraps up, so I'm still hoping that we might get an announcement for Green Arrow and the Canaries, and if we do, I'll make a video for it, of course. But we still, at this point, haven't received, you know, any details regarding Green Arrow and the Canaries in its state. And personally, you know, it's been so long since Season 8 finished, Arrow Season 8 finished, I think that if we don't get an announcement for Green Arrow and the Canaries out of this DC FanDome, you know, within the next few hours, I don't see it happening, unfortunately. Which is really sad, because I actually just finished rewatching Season 8 recently, and I watched that backdoor pilot again, and it got me really excited for this spin-off, so if it doesn't happen, I'm going to be quite sad. Obviously, Arrow is my favourite show of all time, so to get a spin-off, especially featuring, like, Laurel, I think would be really cool. But yeah, if it doesn't happen within the next few hours, I genuinely don't see that happening at all. So that's a real shame. So we got no news on Green Arrow and the Canaries, but again, if we do get an announcement on Green Arrow and the Canaries within the next few hours, you can expect a video from me. I'll be straight on that, and I'll get that up for you guys as and when. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. What are you most excited about from DC FanDome, and which DCTV Arrowverse show are you most excited about for the January season? Make sure you let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, if you want to see more DC content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads from me. And I hope to see you guys again in my next video.